welcome back to the Singapore Fintech Festival at Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for this segment, we have Brad Peterson, who's our Chief Information and Technology Officer at Nasdaq, and we're going to learn a little bit more about U.S. tech giants. Brad, it's great to have you with me, as always, and this is your first year at the Singapore Fintech Festival, and I have to say, it's quite impressive with the representation globally that's here. Why are you here this year? What brings you out for the first time?
Well, I think it's our team. Experienced this the last couple of years, and it's been tremendous. As you said, every year I think it gets bigger and bigger, and they said you have to come see this, and I'm really glad I did because it's a phenomenal event that's sponsored by MIS. So imagine that the regulator has brought together all these great technology companies, financial services firms, and startups, and really brought them into 6 halls. I think it's they're at the max here for the convention center.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. And you just got off stage with the U.S. Tech Giants panel. What were a couple of the themes that you discussed?
So we had Intel, Microsoft, and Nasdaq. So I really liked the company that I was keeping in Nasdaq. Tech giants. So we were talking a wide variety of topics. One of the things they asked each of us, what are you most excited about? And my personal answer was cloud and the API, the move to APIs, and how important that is for our business and our platform to be able to decompose it and make it available for integration and all the major cloud providers. So we had a chance to talk a little bit about that.
How is cloud being used by the markets? Can we envision markets being run on the cloud?
Absolutely. So that was one of the key questions. Certainly, startups have for years been using cloud to accelerate, just their business, to not have to build state-of-the-art infrastructure, but to use their resources to build their product for customers. Financial services has been behind, and we're seeing, and for good reason, I think, because of regulatory uncertainty about could they move certain products to the cloud. Security has always been a long-standing concern, but a lot of those environments are maturing, so people are starting to realize that you can secure your products definitely, in some cases, better in the cloud than on-prem. And regulators are moving some of their own services to the cloud. So they're kind of going, well, if we can do it, we ought to let our, the regulated entities do it as well. So I would call it, and I said this yesterday, we're probably getting to a tipping point where financial services will be moving more and more. The traditional financial services firms will be moving there. Fintechs are already doing it. They start out in the cloud.
All right, now what about artificial intelligence and the role that it plays in the exchanges? Because Nasdaq just announced a successful go live last week with AI and a surveillance initiative.
Yeah, so we've been working on that for a while. Kind of internally, we had a code name for it, but we publicly announced that we're going to be using AI for our Smarts product, and that's in conjunction for the surveillance of the U.S. market. So we think that's a really exciting proof point. Predominantly, you want to be able to cover more territory with automation. So we're not necessarily eliminating our team that is doing it. We're complementing our team and their expertise with AI. We think we can comb through data, find new patterns that may be emerging patterns, and we can also use the technology to cut down on false positives. So you get alerts. And if it turns out to be nothing, you've wasted the person's time dispositioning that alert. So we think there's great benefit both in cutting down the false positives and then also being at the early stage of spotting these new potential patterns that are not complying with the rules.
And you also presented yesterday creating the marketplace economy of the future business in real time. How do you see emerging technologies enabling the future of markets globally?
Yeah, well, that one I capped the end of the day, so it was a long day, but had a chance to get on stage and tell the story about Nasdaq and how we see our technology that we've perfected for many years in financial services. It's engineered for performance, for reliability, and for capacity. And how do we translate that into other marketplaces around the world that are non-financial? So we're pretty excited about some of the applications we've discovered and we've already announced, like football index,
Yeah.
betting on an athlete's season or their career, not just the game they're playing in. So those are pretty exciting things. I was able to be on stage and talk about those trends, and then complement that with some of the innovations in streaming data and real-time data that originally, you could say the killer app of streaming data was the original market data feed. So people all tuned in, and we've integrated that into our TVs, our computers, our mobile phones. But there's other real-time data that I think can be just as compelling as a stock ticker.
Right.
So I introduced the concept that I think there are going to be more of those, and the technology is now here to enable that.
All right, amazing, Brad. Thanks so much for joining me at the
You
FinTech
bet.
Festival.
All right.
And thank you for joining me throughout the day on Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.